All right, for tonight's homework help, I'm going to do two problems. The first of which is going to be number 7, which is d squared minus 8d plus 15. Okay, and we're asked to just factor this trinomial. Now, I'm going to show you guys two ways to do this. The first way I'm going to show you how to do it is using that shortcut that we learned in class, where if my leading coefficient is 1, which if you notice right here, I do have that imaginary 1, okay? If my leading coefficient is 1, factoring this polynomial boils down to solving the diamond problem for our last term here in the top cell, 15, and our middle term here in the bottom, negative 8. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to positive 15 but add to negative 8. And if we go through a bunch of factors, we'll find that that will be negative 3 and negative 5. All right. So now if I write those two factors into my shortcut form, my factored form will be x minus 3 times x minus 5. All right. Now, if you don't like using the shortcut, if it freaks you out a little bit, we can go the long route and we can use our generic triangles, which are rectangles, excuse me, which is another way that I will show you how to do this problem, okay? So, if I'm using my generic rectangles, of course, I need to draw my rectangle. First term in my first box, last term in my last box. Then I, of course, multiply along the diagonal here and set that up in a diamond problem. So if I multiply along the diagonal, I get 15d squared. Again, my linear term goes in the bottom, my negative 8d. And again, I am looking for two numbers that multiply to positive 15d squared but add to negative 8d, which you will find will be negative 3d and negative 5d. Which we will write into our boxes, and then we start factoring out our GCFs. So, if I look at a GCF of my first column here, you'll see that that's just D. GCF of my second column is negative 3. Again, pull out the negative if it's closest to you. GCF of my first row is D. And GCF of my second row is negative 5. Again, pull out that negative if it's closest to you. So, my two factors here are D minus 3 and D minus 5. And I suppose these should have been D's over here. I apologize. So there's two methods for doing number 7. And then I'm going to go ahead and do one of those extra practice guys on the side that I said you didn't have to do. Let's take a look at 13. 13, we have x squared plus 5xy plus 4y squared. All right, and this one I'm going to definitely do using our rectangles. All right, so if I go ahead and draw that box in here, again, first term in the first box, last term in my last box, multiply along the diagonal, and when you do that multiplication, you will get 4x squared y squared. And then we have to solve that diamond problem, and the bottom cell of my diamond will be 5xy. So I need two terms that multiply to 4x squared y squared, but add to 5xy, and you will find that that will be 4xy and 1xy. So I'm going to go ahead and write those over here in my box, and then I'll start pulling out my GCF. So my GCF of my first column here is just an x. GCF of my second column here would be a 4y. GCF of my first row is again an x. And the GCF of my second row would be just a y. So my factors are x plus y and x plus 4y. Good luck on the rest of your homework.